What happens when Hollywood magic collides with global politics? That's the question circling around Disney's live-action Snow White and its co-star, Gal Gadot. The film, which was expected to be a box office powerhouse, instead turned into one of Disney's more surprising disappointments in recent memory. And while many pointed to creative choices, reviews, or even franchise fatigue, Gadot recently suggested that outside factors, including public perceptions of her as an Israeli actress, played a role in the film's underperformance. Her remarks, made on an Israeli television program, instantly sparked conversation. But within days, Gadot walked back the statement, posting a clarification on her Instagram. She stressed that while she did feel anti-Israel sentiment had shaped some reactions to her, she acknowledged the movie failed for many reasons beyond that. This balance between personal identity, public criticism, and Hollywood expectations makes the story bigger than just one film. It's about how celebrity, geopolitics, and entertainment often intertwine in ways that are hard to untangle. Let's start with the basics. Disney's Snow White had a production budget of nearly $270 million. That's a staggering number even by Disney standards. After release, the movie grossed about $205 million at the global box office, falling short of recouping its production costs, let alone covering the massive marketing budget. In Hollywood, this kind of shortfall is often called a box office bomb. For context, most Disney live-action remakes, from The Lion King to Beauty and the Beast, have pulled in billions worldwide. So the underperformance of Snow White shocked industry watchers. Add in mostly negative reviews, the movie scored only 39% positive on Rotten Tomatoes, and you've got a clear picture of why headlines labeled it a flop. Critics took issue with the changes to the story, the downplayed romance, and the reimagined Seven Dwarfs. And while numbers and reviews tell part of the story, the controversy surrounding the film's stars added another layer. Gal Gadot, known worldwide for her role as Wonder Woman, played the evil queen in this version of Snow White. For many fans, her casting was a highlight. But as the film rolled into its publicity campaign, conversations on social media began to shift. Some critics, especially online, brought up Gadot's past military service in Israel and connected it to the current conflict in Gaza. This resulted in calls for boycotts from groups like the Boycott, Divestment and Sanctions (BDS) movement. At the same time, Gadot found herself being discussed less as an actress and more as a symbol of political identity. This overlap between entertainment and global affairs created an unusual situation. A Disney fairy tale remake became the subject of heated political debate. While there's no hard data showing the boycott directly caused ticket sales to drop, the perception certainly added tension to the film's rollout. When speaking on Kesha 12's program The A-Talks, Gadot was more candid than she usually is in Hollywood interviews. She said she had been sure this movie was going to be a huge success, but felt that the events following October 7th, combined with pressure in Hollywood to take a stance on Israel, created additional challenges. Her comments went viral, with many outlets interpreting them as placing significant blame on anti-Israel bias for the movie's failure. But almost immediately afterward, Gadot sought to clarify. Posting on Instagram in English, she wrote that she had spoken from an emotional place, feeling personally targeted at the time. Importantly, she also added that the film's struggles could not be blamed on one single factor. This clarification shifted the narrative, showing Gadot's awareness of how her words could be interpreted globally, especially when emotions run high around such sensitive topics. To better understand the situation, it helps to remember Disney's position in all of this. Disney has long depended on its live-action remakes as reliable box office performers. But in recent years, several high-profile projects haven't hit expectations. Audiences have grown more selective, reviews have become harsher, and production budgets have soared. Snow White entered the market carrying enormous expectations and enormous costs, leaving little room for error. Add to that the film's creative risks, like downplaying the traditional love story in favor of a rebellion-themed narrative, and it's clear the studio was already taking a gamble. So while politics may have influenced public perception, industry insiders largely agree the film's challenges started long before controversy entered the picture. Another key element was the reaction to Rachel Zegler, the actress who played Snow White. Zegler had already made headlines during press appearances with comments about updating the story and challenging traditional fairy tale tropes. While some applauded her stance, others felt it dismissed the original film in a way that alienated longtime Disney fans. Online, this became a point of contention, with critics arguing that the marketing leaned too heavily on modern social messaging rather than timeless storytelling. Reports even circulated about rumored tension between Zegler and Gadot, although Gadot later dismissed these claims, saying they enjoyed working together. Regardless of whether the feud existed, the chatter contributed to the impression of behind-the-scenes drama. Never a good look when a studio is trying to build excitement for a $270 million movie. Then came the online backlash. Social media has become a powerful force in shaping movie narratives, and Snow White was no exception. Hashtags calling for boycotts circulated, while heated discussions about both stars, Zegler for her outspoken commentary and Gadot for her identity, dominated parts of the conversation. For younger audiences who are deeply online and often make movie-going decisions based on cultural relevance, this type of discourse can have a real impact. Yet it's worth noting that negative online campaigns don't always spell disaster. Other films, like The Little Mermaid remake, faced backlash too, but still performed decently at the box office. The difference with Snow White may lie in the combination of controversy, timing, and less-than-stellar reviews. Critics also pointed out the storyline changes. Instead of focusing on romance, the plot centered more on rebellion against the Queen's oppressive rule. While this gave the movie a socially conscious angle, many reviewers argued it stripped away the charm and simplicity of the original. Family audiences, who make up the core of Disney's audience, didn't seem as enthusiastic about this new direction. Add in concerns about the depiction of the Seven Dwarfs, which sparked debates around representation, and the movie felt weighed down by conversations outside of the usual "was it fun? Was it magical?" type of Disney buzz. This highlights how creative choices can ripple beyond storytelling into public discourse, especially in today's media climate where cultural shifts are closely examined. Gadot's Instagram clarification marked a turning point in the story. She wrote that while she did feel targeted by critics for being Israeli, she also recognized that movies fail or succeed for countless reasons. This more balanced tone contrasted with her earlier, more emotional remarks. In doing so, she seemed to acknowledge that while politics and identity played a role, they weren't the sole explanation. This is significant because Hollywood stars are often scrutinized not just for their roles, but also for how they communicate with global audiences. For Gadot, who has carefully cultivated an image as both a global action star and a representative of her Israeli identity, finding the right balance is no easy task. Her quick clarification shows the awareness celebrities now must have in managing narratives across different platforms and cultures. So, what about Disney's future with projects like this? Snow White may be remembered less for its plot and more for the controversies surrounding it. Yet Disney has shown resilience before. After box office missteps, the studio often reevaluates strategies, focusing on more dependable franchises like Frozen, Moana, or Marvel projects. Still, the financial losses of Snow White, reportedly hundreds of millions after marketing and distribution costs, serve as a reminder that even Disney isn't invincible. For audiences, the bigger question becomes whether the studio can recapture the magic that made earlier live-action remakes feel like events, rather than lightning rods for debate. One thing that stood out in Gadot's interview was her personal philosophy. She told her interviewers on the A Talks program, "Run forward. Even if you fall, fail, or face bad reviews, just keep moving forward." This resilience reflects her career journey. Before becoming Wonder Woman, Gadot faced rejection after rejection in Hollywood. Now, even as Snow White becomes a professional setback, she frames it as just another step in a longer journey. That message resonated with many fans, reminding them that setbacks are inevitable, but persistence can carry you through. In a way, this takeaway might be the most enduring part of the Snow White story for Gadot herself, less about box office numbers, and more about the mindset of pushing forward. It's also worth remembering that Hollywood careers rarely hinge on a single film. Gadot remains a global star with multiple projects in development. Audiences know her best from Wonder Woman, a role that defined her as a household name, and she continues to attract opportunities in both action and drama. For Rachel Zegler too, the journey is just beginning. She's already appeared in West Side Story and has other major projects lined up. While Snow White may not have been the shining success Disney hoped for, both actresses have careers that extend far beyond this one title. That's the nature of Hollywood. Sometimes a movie falters, but the stars often keep shining. So where does this leave us? At the intersection of art, commerce, and identity. Snow White serves as a case study in how films today are shaped not only by creative vision and audience demand, but also by the cultural and political climates that surround them. Gal Gadot's remarks and her subsequent clarification highlight the pressures celebrities face when personal identity collides with global issues. Disney's struggles with this film underline the risks of high-budget projects in an era of shifting audience expectations. And for viewers, the story is a reminder that movies are never just movies anymore. They're cultural flashpoints, business gambles, and personal journeys all rolled into one. In the end, Gadot's advice might be the clearest lesson here. Setbacks happen, but moving forward is the only way through.